day to everybody. Welcome to Hope TV. We're so excited that you've tuned in. We're so thankful that you're part of the Hope TV community. And hey, this is season 4 that's beginning today of Marriage Matters. Can you believe this? And so we started this back in March. As a matter of fact, March of 2020. Under in the women's ministry, we're doing something for our women's weekend. As a matter of fact, that's the last time we had public worship. And it was so effective that when the pandemic started, we continued it. And here we are now, almost 10 months into this. A couple of days will be 10 months that we've been doing this, and your support has been incredible. So to everybody who's tuned in, Apple TV, Roku, Twitch, Fire TV, Amazon, YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, Periscope, edwsmith.org website, househopeatl.com, Instagram. I mean, everybody who's hopetv.com, everybody who's viewing, it's been amazing. What do you think about it?
I mean, I've heard a lot of great things about it, and I think it's been a blessing to us as well as to other couples.
Indeed, yeah, a lot of positive information, and it's been a joy being able just to interview people to get their perspectives on relationships, on life, and so many different stories. And so while you're watching, please help share the link. So if you're watching through a platform that will allow you to subscribe, to like, to comment, or to share, won't you do that now, please, ma'am, please, sir? If you're watching through those platforms, every time you do that, you help us with our algorithms and our engagements, and we're very, very excited. You know, it seems like I've been in front of the computer all day, every day for the past 10 months, and our team just gave us our numbers from the past 10 months, and they've been overwhelming. So we were blessed. This is our first Marriage Matters episode of 2021, and we were blessed to have over 100 million views of our content last year.
Amazing.
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing. And favor God and faithfulness from people like you. So we're thankful. We appreciate you for your support. So if you're married, engaged, strongly considering marriage, you wanted some information. If you're single, just want to get some good insight from some great people, then come on, share this link. And we're getting ready to have a great conversation. You've been talking about this for a while. You've been producing and getting our guests. And I think you've been excited about this one for months now.
Yes, I have. This is one of my favorite people, Calandria and Anthony.
Yeah, we're excited. And this is a wonderful couple that I had the privilege of meeting when we moved here 17 years ago.
Right.
And just to see their journey and their story, and very, very special to us, to our community, to our family. And we appreciate them so much. And so we want to welcome to Hope TV Marriage Matters Day, Anthony and Calandria Lee. What's up, Lee family?
Hey.
Hello.
How you guys doing?
Yeah, y'all looking prosperous. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too.
As well. It's good to see you.
That's great. Glad to have you. And I know, Anthony, we were taught as Southern gentlemen that it's always ladies first. So in this instance, we'll defer, because I let Andrea ask Calandria the first question. But in all deference, I do know that the authenticity, the truth will come when I defer to you. So we will let them get embellishments out of the way first. So,
well spoken, sir.
So the first question, Calandria. I want to know how you guys met and how you wind up going from meeting each other to marriage.
Well, as you have already stated, the truth will come from me. This is the
Yes, it will.
official version. Anthony's gonna add in some yeast, as my daddy used to say, but I'm gonna give you the official version. So Anthony and I both attended Southern University in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And so me being from Atlanta, this was home, and we were having an alumni function. And so I was there with my dad and all the other alumni folks, and this guy who I knew named Alvin was there as well. So Alvin walked up to me and said, "Hey, Calandria, I want you to meet my brother." And I said, "Oh, okay, cool." So he walked me over to Anthony and said, "Hi, this is my brother. Calandria, meet Anthony. Anthony, meet Calandria." We shook hands, said hello, nice to meet you, how's it going? Now, Alvin and I were friends. So I was just being friendly to his brother, whom he was introducing me to. So we exchanged numbers, and it was a very, innocent interaction. So maybe a week or two, don't let me look at him, he doesn't know. Maybe a week or two later, I called him and left a message and no return phone call. So I called a second time and no return phone call. So you know, I got an attitude at this point. So maybe like 2 months later, there was another alumni event, and
Right.
I was there.
Just keep it on track.
I was there, and then he showed up too. So, being the person that I am, I'm immediately making a beeline to find him, and I'm like, "Excuse me, I called you not once but twice. The least you could do is return my phone call." So after I read him the riot act, you know, he apologized for calling me back because I gave him the business for sure about not returning my phone call. And so we talked that evening and really had good conversation and found out that we knew a lot of the same people. We were at Southern at the same time, although I'm 2 years older than he is. But we knew a lot of the same people. We were probably at some of the same parties and, you know, hanging out at different functions, but our paths never crossed when we were at school. So, you know, we ended up talking a little bit that night, and after we left, maybe a couple days, weeks, whatever later, he did finally call me back, and we went out on a date. We went to see Apollo 13, was our first date, a movie night. And since then, I mean, we have really literally been inseparable. We went on that first date, and then we started dating, and just, you know, made it over the rough patches of dating and got married 2 years later. So that was 1995 when we met. And then Anthony proposed in December of 1996. And then we got married in September of 1997.
So that,
Wow.
no, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I want to know what she did, Anthony, that first time that kept you from calling her, return that call.
So-
I know it was something that she did or said in the message.
No, it wasn't.
You don't just refuse to return phone calls. Something happened that was disrespectful or insulting. She did or said something. That's why you didn't call her back, right?
So here is, and that is a reasonable facsimile of what happened. Here is the honest truth. I'm gonna clean that piece up. I was not looking to be involved in the alumni association at that time. So what I thought, she was trying to get me to come to alumni meetings and get involved with the alumni. That and I was not trying to do that at that time. So once we met at that function, that was when we actually saw each other. We met in April of '95. July of '95 was when we saw each other at that next function, and she neck rolling gave me the riot act, and I was like, okay, all right, you know what, you are that. I deserve that. So, you know, probably that's July of '95. We actually talked probably late July of '95, and one of the great things, and it's just funny how things happen. When we talked, we probably talked 3 hours that night. And we found that we had a lot of things in common, a lot of things musically, a lot of things socially, culturally. We just clicked. It was a real click. It was a real feel thing. And I knew then, I was like, okay, you know, she's real cool. Let me ask her out on a date. And as she said, it's been me and her ever since.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. You know, something that was interesting. Calandra grew up in Greater Travelers Rest, you know, here, and actually was the first person when I came here that came on our team to work. She was my first official hire, and to this day, if not the best person
The
we ever,
best.
yeah, if not, it doesn't take long to call the roll at all, right? But you know, her Greater Travelers Rest. But you also grew up in Louisiana, and your church was also called Travelers Rest. I mean, how did that conversation come about? That's very, very rare and very unique.
Right.
And that was one of those signs for me that this is the right person. That was one of those signs for me that this is meant to be, because that so rarely happens, because that's not necessarily a common name for a church anyway, right? It's not like First Baptist or something like that, right?
Right.
So that was a definite sign for me that this was meant to be.
So let me ask you this, Anthony. So I know Calandra is a daddy's girl. Was a daddy's girl. I mean, spoiled, rotten daddy's girl.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I want to know from you, how did you impress the Deacon Danny Evans.
You know what? And that is a great question. I don't know that I did anything in particular. I think I just carried myself, to what Pastor Smith said earlier, like a gentleman. I carried myself like a gentleman, and I acted like a gentleman. And I think he knew then, okay, this guy is worth having around. So I didn't do anything specifically, but I think I carried myself the right way, and I acted the right way.
And then, Andrea, the other thing too is, for me, I didn't bring everybody home because I knew everybody didn't need to meet mama and daddy. And so I was pretty selective about the people that I brought home for them to meet. And so when I did bring him home, they kind of knew, okay, if she's bringing somebody home, he must be special, right? And so then, the fact that he went to Southern didn't hurt. Right. The fact that he was from Louisiana didn't hurt. So he had a few things working in his favor for sure.
Right. That's good. When you talk about parents, of course, Calandria, I know your dad, my heart, right hand, and your mother's a sweet, she's a jewel. So I know your family, and have seen them, embrace Anthony, and so I've seen you guys that don't know Anthony's family as much. So how was that experience in terms of his family? So I see how your family reached out to him, but how was it vice versa?
All right, so just between us, let me give y'all the thing. So I'm the oldest of two. Anthony is the youngest of four. And so he had two older brothers and one older sister. And his father was already deceased when we met. So, I met his mom and his siblings. I felt like his mother and his two brothers loved me a lot. His sister, on the other hand, it took a minute for her to come around.
I feel you.
She was so protective of her brother that it took years for me to really feel like she accepted me into the family. It really did, and it bothered me for a while. I used to talk about it all the time, like, Cheryl she does not like me.
Yeah, she had to jump through some hoops a little bit. She had to jump through a few hoops.
Now, I am glad to say 23 years later, I think Cheryl really loves me, but it took a minute to get there for sure. But his family, he comes from a really big family too. His mother is one of 14.
Right now.
I know, one of 14. And so, it's a very big family. When you go to a family dinner, it's everybody that's there. And so that was comfortable to me because, my dad was one of 8. So that, we both just kind of fit right into that big family feel. But everybody was so warm, so welcoming. And again, the Louisiana connection certainly helped. Yes, over the years, they accepted me very well. And I love them very much. And I think we have a great relationship.
So, funny story. The first time, this was probably right before I proposed to her, she went and met my grandmother. Now, my mother's mother lived to be 101. And my grandmother was the patriarch. So I said, okay, it's time for you to meet grandma, right? So we went to a little small town in central Louisiana, Wisner, Louisiana. And I said, okay, I need you to pass the grandmama test. This is the last test there is. And this must have been Thanksgiving. And I sat next to grandmama towards the end of the day, and I said, all right, now what you think? And she shook her head, and she said, she's a good girl, baby. And I was like, there it is. There it is. You have checked all the boxes.
That probably was worse than the sister test. The grandmother test is probably harder.
Listen, grandmamas don't play. Baby, it's something about her foot don't do right.
So let me ask you this. Okay, I want to talk about, go to the kids for a minute. One of the first children I met when we moved to Atlanta was actually Taylor. And she was so mature.
Indeed.
She was just, I don't know if you remember, we used to have the breakfast between services, and Taylor would come in and, you know, eat with us, and we'd sit down and we'd talk just like, that's why I started calling her my friend, because we would talk just like friends. And I can remember little stuff like we would, I know one day somebody didn't bring the breakfast. So I went by and got some McDonald's and I brought it in, and Taylor says, no, thank you. I don't eat McDonald's. I said, okay. And then, so then on another occasion, I had to leave out of the room, and I think she's only like, I think she was like maybe 8, 7 or 8, and Kamari was like 3. And I told her I had to leave to do something. I went to go to the bathroom, and I said, you know, I'll get somebody to come stay with Kamari. She said, you can go on and do what you have to do. I can watch him. And I said, okay. So that's how she became my friend. So I watched her grow up and become a young lady. And I want you just to share, both of you to share how you did such an awesome job raising her. I mean,
Indeed.
She's smart. She's a Christian young lady. She's focused. Yeah, she's, you know, respectful. I mean, give people a little bit of your success on raising a daughter, because it's hard doing that in these times.
It really is. It really is. And I'll tell you, it's a combination of things. Obviously, prayer for sure. But also, we just come from the kinds of families that invested in us. And so I had tremendous role models for what parenting looked like. My mother is and was a very strong mother. She poured so much of herself. She sacrificed so much for me and my sister. My grandmother did the same. My dad did the same. You know, everybody poured into us. And our village is big, but it's small too. And so our village was always around, and they supported us. They prayed for us, with us. But we really just had very good, strong role models for what parenting looked like, what successful parenting looked like. And so, you know, one of the things that we learned kind of early on with Taylor, or at least I did, is to talk to her like she is a young adult, you know, and not baby talk everything. I'll never forget this. I hope she won't be too embarrassed about this. But, you know, we tried to create an environment where they could ask us any question they wanted to. And so this is a little, this might be a little bit out on the periphery, but I'm going to go ahead and tell the story because I think it is important. So she and I were watching TV, and a commercial came on, and it was a commercial talking about STDs. And so, you know, she was relatively young, 7 or 8. And when she heard that, she turned to me and she said, Mommy, what's an STD? And I answered her. I said, it's a sexually transmitted disease. Right. And so she paused and she looked at me and she said, well, maybe I shouldn't have asked that question. I said, no, baby, you can always ask Mommy any question you want to know. Because I would rather her ask us and us be a little bit uncomfortable for a few minutes and give her the truth, rather than her getting it from someone else. And so, you know, we really tried to maintain that kind of relationship with both she and River, where they can come to us and ask questions and we not be afraid to have a conversation. Now, yeah, I might feel a little bit uncomfortable in that moment, but again, I would rather give her the information that she needs so she's not trying to find it out somewhere else, quote, in the streets.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, it's the strength of our village. We have a really, really, really strong village. And we as parents can only do so much sometimes. And it's the strength of the village around you to supplement that. So I definitely defer to the strength of the village, because the strength of the village helps all of us, and they are a reflection of the strength of the village.
You know, while we talk about the village, I want to kind of ask this question, because we talked about this in the past. You know, when we came to Atlanta originally to come to the church, and Calandria was working, really doing everything. She was executive pastor, secretary, you name it. Really, I mean, that's the truth. But what was interesting was her father was also the chief operating officer. So to see them both in the same space working, and Calandra bringing all types of new kind of technology and ideas, that experience of working with family and working with your father, I think it was just very novel. How was that experience, and what kind of, because, you know, a lot of times I don't think I could work with my relatives, you know.
Some days I
We
couldn't
talk all the
work with my
time.
neighbors.
Yeah. How did you make that work so gracefully? Because if there was ever any frustration or issues, nobody knew it but you. But it was just so,
Seamless.
I mean, really, it was absolutely seamless and powerful. And I know that couldn't have been easy. So can you talk about that for a moment?
Yeah, so Pastor Smith, again, you know, my family loved us and gave us space to grow. They provided so many opportunities and experiences for us. And so I always felt like my dad respected me as a person. But working at the church elevated his view of me as we became more peer-like. I think that's how I felt about the relationship. Um, he would ask me things. He would seek my guidance. He would ask my opinion about things related to business, related to what I knew and what I could bring to the conversation. So, you know, 95% of the time, it was good. It really was. Now, of course, you know, your daddy is still your daddy. He'll pull out that daddy card on you in a minute, and my daddy was good for that. And so I had to get to a place where, I mean, you know, he was my daddy, so I knew him and I knew kind of his levers and he knew mine. So I knew when we both needed a break, and he knew that too. And we could say, hey, you know, I'm gonna work in the other room, or I'm headed out for the day, and we'll come back and revisit something. But I think we both just respected each other for what the other brought to the table, and we laughed. We had a good time. You know, he was old school, and I was trying to bring him along. And sometimes he resisted, and sometimes he came along. You know, I always tell the story. My daddy loved a piece of paper. So if somebody sent him an email, he would say to me, "Hey, can you shoot me a copy of that?" And I said, "Well, Daddy, it's an electronic mail, which means you don't need to print this off. You look on your device. It's on your device. It's on your device." So again, I think there was a healthy amount of respect from both of us, and I think that really made the big difference. It really did.
That's great.
Let me transition. We've talked about Taylor. Now I want to talk about River,
My boy.
because I remember
Yeah.
when we first met River, and I remember him coming to the church, and uh, your dad saying, "Oh, he's just so rambunctious, you know, River just all over the place." I said, "Oh," I said, "Y'all finally got a boy. Welcome to the world of having boys." I said, "That's normal for us. I mean, we." So it was not normal for you guys. So how was that, like, going from raising a girl, you know, versus raising a son, the differences, the challenges? You know, I think boys are easier. You know, you guys may have a different perspective because I have all boys, but I just think boys are just easier. You know, what do you guys think, or how did it change, or, you know, just tell us your story of how River came to enter your family, and just tell us that whole story.
Yeah. So to give you a little backstory, you know, Taylor was a preemie, right? Taylor was 3 months premature. Taylor was 1 pound, 13 ounces when she was born, right? So after Taylor was born, she spent 2 months in the hospital at Northside, came home. You know, we had kind of written off, you know, Calandra had pregnancy-induced hypertension. It was a tough pregnancy. And we had kind of written off the idea of having another child. And if I'm being totally transparent, after about a couple of years, I can tell you I wanted a son. And I think both of us did. And both of us wanted a sibling for her. So we talked about it, we prayed about it, and we went and we started down the adoption path. And from probably early 2005 to River came to live with us for good in late 2007. So that's kind of the backstory. So once he got here, it is definitely different in terms of I know for me, and I know speaking of Kalan's mom, I would have Taylor outside playing catch with me and doing all kind of guy stuff with me. And you know, Taylor was still very dangerous. So it was great for me to have a little boy I could go outside and play catch with, I could wrestle with, I could do all of the things that I wanted to do, right? So that was awesome for me having him here and tumble down the stairs and jump off the bed and do all the stuff that little boys do. You know, that was awesome for me. So having him here definitely changed, you know, what we did, how we did it, making sure for him, because he was 5, making sure that he felt like a part of the family, right? He knew he was adopted, but it was important to make sure that he felt like he wasn't off to the side, that he was just as much a part of the family as everybody else. And it was important for us to do that and include him in everything that we did. And so that was something early on that was definitely important for me, to make him feel like you are as much a part of the family as everybody else.
And you know, Andrea, Anthony gave you all the kind of backstory, but I'm going to tell you, as a mom, it was a hard transition picking up this rambunctious, loud little boy. And you know, you talked about Taylor. She was very dainty and prissy and quiet, and you know, she slept well. River did not. River came in. He was loud. He was all over the place. He was a typical boy. Now, I mean, nothing unusual, but also we got him at age 5, so we didn't have a chance to see him grow from you know, a baby to a toddler. So we didn't get all of those stages. We just got instant 5-year-old rambunctious energy all over the place, and you know, just no prep time for that. It was just like, boom, he's here, deal with it. So you know, that part of it was definitely an adjustment. And then also adjusting to having 2 children and kind of managing through those day-to-day challenges as well. And again, we didn't get that ramp up period where, you know, he's a baby and you kind of working yourself into it. It was just like instantly, you know, a family of 4. But over the years, it has absolutely morphed and changed a whole lot. You know, our family primarily has girls, and so you know, obviously I'm a girl, and that's my experience. That's all I really know. And so parenting him and just little things, you know, boy stuff, you know, he was messy and, you know, clean up your room, make up the bed, let the seat down, you know, all those things you have to train and get these socks off the floor, and all of that was definitely an adjustment. But River has absolutely been the joy of our life. He really has. You know, people always talk about, well, you know, you're really changing his life and what you as parents do for the child. But River has done so much more for us too. I mean, having him here has stretched us, has grown us, and really has fulfilled our lives as well. So if anyone is even considering adoption, it is absolutely work, but parenting a child that you birth naturally is work as well. So it's work. It's just different work that you have to do. But if people are considering adoption, it is absolutely a blessing. It really is. It was a long process to get us there, but I wouldn't take anything back from it at all.
That's a great, great story, and we're out of time. But we need you to come back, because we've been talking to a lot of people, a lot of couples that have dealt with this whole issue, infertility issues, and trying to take the next step about adoption, what to look for, how do you position yourself, you know, the right perspective, some of the pros, cons. Would you be willing to come back and do part 2 with us, please, ma'am, please, sir?
Oh,
I just put you on the
sure.
spot like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
Well,
you.
great. So we're gonna close this one, because this segment's gone, but we're gonna come back. I'm so excited. Thanks for doing this. This has been powerful. You did good again.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Like, hey, fam, you've been watching Marriage Matters, and we've been interviewing Anthony and Calandria Lee. Just a wonderful couple with an incredible story. Hope you feel some inspiration. Again, Happy New Year to you. This is the first Marriage Matters of 2021, and we're excited they're gonna come back with part 2. Think you want to say this one?
Nope, I can't wait till next week.
Okay. All right, fam. We're gonna close this segment of Marriage Matters. But as always, remember this: if you'll be good to God, then God will be good to you. Until next time, peace. Bye.
Bye.